Have you ever wondered why a man treated you terribly, but then the next woman that he is with, well, she's treated like a princess. All of a sudden, he's doing all of these things for her that he never did for you. Well, this is because she has learned to speak the language that sparks his masculine energy. Every woman who truly and divinely is in touch with her feminine energy understands the art of neuro-linguistic programming. Now, I know that sounds super complex, but it's all about the language you use that influences how people respond to you and how people feel, how people perceive you, how they interact with you, which then enhances the quality of your life, of your relationships, of the love that you get to live and the love that you get to experience. So with this understanding, she is constantly getting what she wants. She is constantly and always moving closer towards the things that she desires effortlessly. So every man ends up on his knees, besotted and in awe of her always. So if you want to know how you can do this effortlessly every single time with every single man that you interact with, that you want a relationship with, then stick around. And especially for the last part of this episode, if you really, really want to understand this in depth. And it's all coming up right now. Hi, welcome back to The Vibration Fall. My name is Alia Zaray. I help women all over the world navigate their love life in a more feminine way. So if that sounds like something that you want to do, make sure to subscribe to stick around. Okay, let's begin. So it's a similar concept to learning a new language. Let me give you an example. When you learn a new language, you are able to connect with so many more people, right? But with the language of feminine energy, you get to reach the best versions of the same person through simply speaking, using this feminine language. That is how powerful your language is. Our words are like spells. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're dating a man and he's following so many girls on social media. You could use option 1 and you could go into your masculine energy and you could say, why are you following all of these half-naked girls? Why are you like this? You are so embarrassing. You are such a bag. But when you say this, it's only going to make him defensive. It's not going to solve the problem. So now he's going to do everything in his power to defend his behavior and try to find a way to justify and protect himself, to protect his ego, because he doesn't want to admit that you're right. He doesn't want to admit that he's a bag. How emasculating is that? How embarrassing is that? So instead, to get the best version out of him, you would use option 2 and you would go into your feminine energy and you would make sure, first of all, that you're in a very casual setting. So maybe you're doing your makeup, maybe you're making some food, and you would say to him, you know, babe, I love those men that don't follow loads of girls on Instagram because they don't feel the need to give anyone that validation apart from their woman that they've got at home. I just think men like that are so high value. Don't you agree, babe? It's like they give off this untouchable, exclusive energy. So even if other women want them, they just never receive that validation from them. And I think as a couple, especially when a man's in a relationship, it just gives off this untouchable, high-value energy. Now, when you say this, you're illustrating a story of what is attractive to you. And a man who genuinely likes you has this desire to impress you and be the man that you want him to be genuinely. Also, when you say this, it's also the way that you've propositioned it. It makes logical sense to any man who has a good moral compass and genuinely only has eyes for you. He would also to agree with you. And then also it's very important to end all of this, what you're saying, all of your beliefs about how men who don't like these pictures and follow lots of girls on Instagram are high value. When you end it with a leading question saying something like, don't Agree, babe. When you say this, he's more inclined psychologically to agree with you and affirm this to his subconscious, because you are leading him to believe that. It's a leading question. It's actually being banned in the interrogation rooms because it's that powerful. Leading questions are not allowed. So use that to your advantage. Use leading questions when you want your partner to be more agreeable with you. And then when he does agree with you, you're going to say, that's what I love the most about you, baby. You're not like that. You're such a high value man. You're such a respectable man. I love that you want to also have this untouchable energy, this high value energy. Now, by altering your language to a much more feminine approach that's more pleasant to hear, it makes this a much more effective way of getting what you want from your man without having to fight, without having to shout. And actually, this method brings you closer and makes him love you even more. What you need to realize is this man hasn't met you yet. You are a woman in her divine feminine energy. You speak to and awaken parts of him that no other woman has. So now you will receive a more refined version of him. The version of him who wants to listen to you, wants to respect you, wants to provide for you. And it's because you communicate with him in a way that's pleasant for you both. You communicate with him in a way that is progressive. It doesn't stunt your growth in the relationship. A lot of women in relationships are so quick to argue, so quick to judge, so quick to emasculate a man and put him down and just take away all of that respect, strip all of that respect from him, that it just diminishes the relationship. So even the most promising relationships now just don't stand a chance. So when you speak to him like this, all of a sudden his respect and admiration for you continues to shine through to a point where now he's thinking, you know what? I do genuinely only have eyes for this woman. She is magic to me. She understands me. She has a vision for us, and I want to be a part of that. I want to do everything in my power to be the man that she wants and needs me to be. Her happiness is paramount to me. So what does this mean? It means that you can't paint him with the brush of his past. So the things he's done before he's experienced you. Like I said, our words are like spells, right? So it can bring out the best in people or it can bring out the worst in people. And it's up to you to decide which route that you want to take. So I want you to think about it. You want to spend more time with the people who bring out the best versions of you. You love the people more who bring out the best versions of you. You love the people more because you love who you are when you are around them. That's exactly how he will start to feel about you. Once you learn to understand feminine language, start to learn how to implement feminine language. When you communicate using this, everything around you gets to be easy. Everything comes to you effortlessly and in abundance, and people are willing to meet you at your high standard. You don't have to lower yourself anymore. You don't have to have arguments in your relationship. You can have disagreements, but they can be healthy and controlled and solution focused. Now, after saying all of this, there is an art to it, and you have to understand this to perfect it. Now, a woman in her feminine energy can detach from her emotions, even in the most heightened situations. So she can zoom out of her default emotion, and she doesn't react in that emotion. So she chooses to see the different choices that are available to her in that moment. Once she's zoomed out, she gets to choose which response she will get from the different language she chooses to use. She knows what she's going to receive by what she's going to say. She understands people. It's the emotional intelligence. You've got to understand who you're talking to and tailor your language towards it to know what response you're going to get. And a woman in her feminine energy does this effortlessly and very, very well. So how do you do that? You can't be impulsive. You can't be reactive in a way where you lose control and you say things that you cannot take back. But instead, you choose a reaction that will get you closer to getting what you want. So in that previous instinct of him following lots of girls on social media, you degrading him and calling him every name under the sun, calling him pathetic, calling him embarrassing, that's not going to get you closer to your desired result. He's probably just going to follow 10 more girls. So that's just going to ruin your relationship. And if you want out of your relationship, then fine, you can use that approach. He's genuinely a good man. He's just making some bad choices, okay? This is something that you can change. It's something you can almost train out of him by using soft, kind language. He's going to feel like, wow, no one's ever handled a situation like that with me. I want to stick by her. That's someone I want to spend my life with. That's someone I want to change for. So, like I mentioned earlier in this video, it's called neuro-linguistic programming. NLP is about choice. It looks at what is possible and how we might reach our full potential. It works on the way we organize our thoughts and feelings. That's the neuro, and the language is the linguistic, and the behavior is the programming to get the results that we do. Now, there are practical tools and techniques to help us better understand others and ourselves. So, human beings are meaning-making machines. So being mindful of this can help us avoid slipping into the traps that we set for ourselves. So when we have an experience, we have somehow made sense of that experience by assigning some form of meaning to it. So the meaning we assign dictates how we end up responding. So let me give you an example. You may be expecting this guy who you're dating to not follow so many other women, even though he just met you a few weeks ago, and you haven't mentioned to him that it's actually a problem to you. And when you see that he does, you just automatically make this assumption that he doesn't care about you, that he's not serious, that he's a player, that he's going to treat you badly because of this. You could start to make these assumptions that he's slept with every single woman that he's following, and it's tainting your perspective on this man who's been nothing but a gentleman to you, and you genuinely wanted to build something serious with him. So how we think and what we believe affects how we feel and what we do in our lives. It's not what has happened that has made us who we are. It's how we've responded to what has happened to us that makes us who we are. Challenging these limiting beliefs, the ones that you hold about yourself, the ones that you hold about others, the ones that you hold about the world around you, can be completely life-changing. So think about it. There is no inherent meaning in anything. We invent the meaning. Therefore, wouldn't it be powerful if we could genuinely alter our interpretations so that we acted in a way that empowered us and moved us closer to what we wanted? NLP offers practical tools to help us do just that. The linguistic programming also helps us communicate better and build stronger relationships. So when we speak, our language is littered with deletions and distortions and generalizations. I want you to think about the language you are using and reacting with like a radio station. So you can tune into any radio station whilst you're driving. So you could listen to country, you could listen to jazz, you could listen to R&B, you could listen to house music, you could listen to techno. Whichever one you choose to listen to and tune into is going to give you a different outcome or a different feeling or a different experience. So I want you to really think about what is going to be the soundtrack to your life. Because if you put some depressing emo, heavy metal, sad song on, which is very depressing, and that's the theme song to your whole life, and your language is a reflection of that, right? So you're constantly speaking negatively, you're constantly being pessimistic about things, you're constantly predicting a bad outcome, you're constantly reiterating things never work out for me. That is the theme song that you are tuning into for your whole life. So that's the feeling and the vibe that you're going to receive. Whereas if you decide to constantly tune into and have the theme tune of your life something more lighthearted and fun-loving, something maybe like, I don't know, country music, where, you know, you're always constantly falling in love and your relationships are beautiful and wholesome, and, you know, you're connected to source or God or the universe and everything's always going well for you, and then your language is an interpretation of that. Instead of being pessimistic, you're optimistic. Everything's always working out for me. Good things are always coming to me. I always attract the best men. Men love to provide for me. That's the equivalent of the radio station that you're tuning into. So I want you to really sit and think now. What do you want the theme tune of your life to be? Do you want it to be the depressing emo song where nothing's working out for you? Or do you want it to be that lighthearted country music, fun love? Now tailor your language towards it. So that becomes the radio station that everyone's tuning into when they are hanging around you. So now it becomes addictive to switch that radio station on. I want to listen to that music because it makes me feel good. I want to hang out with that person because she makes me feel good. You see? That is a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please make sure to hit the thumbs up and please make sure to subscribe to stick around for more episodes like this. So until next time, I love you. Bye.